Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for...
And you're a very complex and convoluted topic.
As you know, I've been writing about LSAs a lot over the last couple of weeks because of Google's lax enforcement, the amount of almost what is appearing to be criminal activity, spam, fake reviews, et cetera, et cetera. And somebody asked me sort of wistfully why they couldn't just leave regular ads and why did they go to a cheaper ad unit? It didn't make sense to them because Google would make more money with regular ads. And what I realized from our research is that local service ads, quote unquote, steal a lot of traffic. They're much more efficient. For example, in one case we looked at traffic to the pack dropped from 33% of the total to 18% of the total, and organic traffic dropped from 57% down to the low 50s. So when there were LSAs present. So the way that Google can show a less expensive ad unit is by being more efficient at attracting users to that ad unit. Now, this struck me in a million different ways, but mostly it was about how Google is starting to understand with their ad units how people respond so almost viscerally to the star ratings, to years in business, to the pictures, to the Google guarantee that Google is showing in these ads. And they're very powerful ads that, along with SGE, sort of portends this new screen that we're going to see with Google. Once all of this resolves itself, I think that where the results we're seeing are going to be much more tailored to our emotional sort of demands and many more effectively more click-throughs on ads because the ads are more compelling. So it relates back to what you're saying about the messy results. But I think Google's in a period of transition this year. And I think what we will see is, as somebody pointed out in one of the comments to this discussion, was that we're going to see more and more of this, of Google sort of driving these emotive search results very effectively, very powerfully to attract users away from current units, whether they're organic or local, or whichever ones are not paying off for Google, I guess.
Well, your comment about the traffic stealing capabilities of LSA, that's how we could rate all the ad units, their traffic stealing capabilities, because that's what really
except
what
the regular ad units, at least in our local tests, were largely rejected by users, right? They would frequently comment that they don't click on ads.
Well under 10% of clicks went to regular ads, and where they were present, LSAs got a third of clicks. So, I mean, it's very different behavior.
Part of that is because not only because of the visual appearance and the kind of trust badges and hallmarks of these LSAs, but people don't fully understand that LSAs are ads. You know, they have this sort of skepticism about ads generally, which doesn't translate to LSAs because they don't fully understand that they're ads. And this goes to your point, Mike, in yesterday's newsletter where you showed, I think it was the attorneys category, you showed a list of ads, LSA ads, and sponsored appeared over the top ad, but it's not clear that all of these are LSAs, but they are. So there's this sort of, you know, I mean, we could
pushing the boundaries of ambiguity regardless of the law.
Right. I mean, so one of the reasons why LSAs work so well is people don't recognize them as ads, but they also have these other elements which are very powerful, as you point out.
Yeah, right. I would say I totally agree that this is going to be a sort of tipping point year in some ways for LSAs, partly because they are a much better suited ad unit to these SGE type result experiences than a traditional, text headline, tagline, website type of ad. The creative unit, such as it is, creative in quotes, has no creative. It's all structured data. And we've seen this with shopping results as well. Like, these are all structured data. There's a photo, there's a price, can you pick it up nearby? The attributes of something that's being sold that consumers care the most about. And so I think this is also part of Cindy Crum and I have had this sort of feeling for years when it came to websites that Google's best, like the best website you could build for Google is just an XML feed. And that's also now proving to be true, I think, with ad units as well, that, even as good or not good as the performance max capabilities are on generating actual, ad copy, that they radically underperform these, visually rich, much more consolidated ad units that only focus on the things that drive people to click or drive people to purchase. And so I think that this is just going to be as I said, sort of a watershed moment for the proliferation of these sort of structured ad units. And I think from Google's standpoint, as long as these things keep attracting clicks at, essentially 3x the rate of traditional ads in local, we're just going to see more and more of them. And they make a lot more sense at the end of a sort of Gemini oriented, sort of filtering experience as sort of the last step, then do sort of traditional text ads where it's the business trying to sell itself, as opposed to Google just saying, hey, here's everything that we know about this business. So,
except if they're fraudulent, right? They work. they work unless the system is broken and what you're seeing is not accurately what the consumer thinks is being represented.
Yep.
Gosh, where would that happen? Oh, LSAs. So,
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.